Tune in for Weekend Talk That Matters, only on KFNX.
Nessun Dorma from the opera Turandot. I will conquer, I will conquer. Welcome to Healthy Vision, the talk radio show to help you conquer your vision loss. Dr. Edward Kondrot is a board-certified ophthalmologist and homeopathic doctor, author of 2 best-selling books, and sought-after speaker. Healthy Vision is dedicated to bringing you the latest information for a lifetime of healthy sight and to help you conquer your eye problems. And now, your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot.
Welcome to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot, and thank you so much for joining us. The radio show is to help you conquer your vision loss. And every Sunday we have interesting guests to discuss alternative treatments for eye problems and the latest in eye research. And the next couple of months, each radio show is going to be dedicated to the College of Synthonics. This is a phenomenal organization of eye doctors that practice light therapy in various degrees, and we're planning to interview different members of the college. And this evening, it's a real pleasure of mine to have my good friend and my neighbor, although we're really not neighbors. He lives about an hour and a half away, but we're both from the state of Florida, Dr. Ray Gotlieb. And Dr. Gotlieb, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ed. Nice to be here.
And, you have contributed so much to the science and practice of syntonic optometry. It's just a real honor to hang out with you, and, I always learn so much when I'm with you. And I'm holding right now is a piece that you put together. It's called Read Without Glasses Method. And I guess I kind of was a little surprised because you put this together with Marty Sussman, who's the president of the Cambridge Institute for Better Vision, and Marty recently passed away, and we are planning to have next Sunday's radio show in celebration of Marty's life, his contribution to vision education and vision therapy. So I think it's kind of appropriate in a way that we're starting off with this product that you and Marty put together. But I wonder if you could tell us, well, before we go into this product, for the listeners who may not be familiar with you, I know you've been a guest a couple of times on Healthy Vision. Maybe you could talk about your background and how you got interested in alternative treatments for eye problems, in particular using light.
I went to school at the University of California, Berkeley, and got my optometry degree there. And I always had if I can say it, an eye toward natural healing. There was just part of me that was tuned that way. In fact, when I was 9, I somehow got it in my head that I wanted to stand on my head like a yogi. I got really interested in the idea of doing yoga. And so I went to the local library in Los Angeles, and I looked for a book on yoga, and they didn't have any books on yoga. They had one on yodeling. So I tried that for a while, but I was 9 years old, and I couldn't learn how to yodel very easily at that point. But that was kind of my...
Didn't help your vision, I guess.
Didn't help my vision. At that time, I didn't have any vision problems that I knew about. Anyway, so I got involved when as the 60s came along, I got interested in massage and yoga and meditation. And one day I happened to find a book by Aldous Huxley called The Art of Seeing. And it was so interesting to me because it reminded me of Tai Chi that I was studying and yoga and so forth. And I thought, gee, that's so interesting. I wonder if it works. And so I began to work on my myopia and worked for about a year and a half, and eventually it went away at that point. So that was that kind of got me involved in an optometric specialty called behavioral optometry, which expands out from what Bates did, and to include working with kids with learning disabilities, head injury problems, developing people who are high performers, developing their sports ability. I work a lot with pianists using the approaches, and so it's a conglomeration of training techniques, including light and color, syntonics, and I've been involved in that since the early 70s. So syntonics I got involved in because at the time that I was getting involved in Bates, I heard about an optometrist that was interested in eye improvement in the Berkeley area, and there weren't many of us. And so I went to meet him, and he was, I think, a charter member of the Syntonics group. He was 81 years old at that time, and so he's the one that kind of got me into Syntonics back in the mid-70s. And since then, I've been a mainstay of Syntonics, and it's grown since that time. And became a dean of that college about 25 years ago. And I'm still going. I'm spending a lot of time these days looking at research and writings of scientists that I think support more and more strongly the idea that color and light has a very central effect on how physiology and biology work, and that there's a great basis for light therapy. It's not something like it's not something out of the ordinary. It's really ordinary because that's how our bodies work. So that's what's got me excited right now. I've retired.
Maybe you could explain a little bit for the listeners who may not know what syntonic means and what is syntonic light therapy. I know we both are really fascinated with that aspect of therapy, and I use it every day in my practice, but I wonder if you could give it a shot and just try to explain in basic terms exactly what syntonic light therapy is.
Okay, well, syntonics essentially was based on, I'll go back a little bit. In the late 1800s, there were several people who began writing about the effects of light on physiology and on botany. And there were some pioneers who put together approaches based on empirical knowledge as well as kind of more spiritual knowledge about using various forms of light on the body to correct health problems. I mean, healthcare at that time was not what it is today in terms of the science. And so light therapy was approached by probably a half a dozen people who wrote books during that period. And the second Nobel Prize, I think it was in 1902, in medicine and physiology was given to a physician who had cured acne vulgaris, which is kind of a tuberculosis of the skin. It was a fatal disease, a very, very deforming disease, and there was no cure for it. And he began to use focused light from the sun that was filtered for ultraviolet on these conditions, and he was able to reverse actually make it go away if it were in the early stages and stop it in its tracks in the later stages. So he essentially had a method for curing this incurable problem, and he got a Nobel Prize for it. And so I think that spurred on people who in the medical field, a few brave souls that just had an inkling toward what light might be able to do, and there were several people who got involved, create theories and so forth. And one of those was a man named Spittler, H. Riley Spittler, who was an optometrist and an MD and several other health-related degrees at that time, and he essentially put together a theory of how light works based on what's called the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system. And so syntonics essentially means that it's balancing the tones of these two parts of the nervous system called the autonomic nervous system. It's the nervous system that helps to take care of the energetic and metabolic aspects of how we live, and when we're about to do something that's dangerous or do something that's
well, we're
energy.
Coming up to a break.
Okay.
Station, and you're listening to Dr. Edward Kondrot. My guest is Dr. Ray Gotlieb, and we're going to continue with our talk on syntonic optometry. We'll talk more about balancing the autonomic nervous system. We'll be right back.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Dr. Kondrot has been selected to be the clinic director of the American Medical College of Homeopathy in Phoenix, Arizona. The clinic will offer world-class homeopathic and alternative services at greatly reduced rates. This clinic was established to make homeopathic and alternative care more affordable to the thousands of patients looking for alternative treatments. The clinic will be manned by members of the Arizona Homeopathic and Integrative Medical Association. Dr. Kondrot states this is a great opportunity for doctors to give back to the community and help many people who can't afford these services. Dr. Kondrot will start the clinic services on January 8, 2014, by offering homeopathic and alternative evaluations and treatments for those individuals with eye problems. For more information or to schedule an appointment, please call the clinic at 602-864-0512. Once again, for more information or to schedule an appointment, call 602-864-0512. That number again is 602-864-0512.
Call Dr. Kondrot for a personal consultation. Dr. Kondrot is a leading alternative eye doctor, author of 3 best-selling books, and host of Healthy Vision Talk Radio. Call for your personal consultation with Dr. Kondrot to learn what alternative therapies can help you. Take this important step today to improve your vision. Call 1-800-430-9328. That number again, 1-800-430-9328.
Can changing your voice change your health and vision? Homeopathic doctors have observed an emotional component that is the cause or contributing factor to disease. This emotion is linked to your voice. There are now methods of analyzing and changing tones in your voice that are linked to disease. As you speak, your voice carries the energy and your perception of the world. Voice reframing is a technique that facilitates a different view of your perception and can help improve your health. The primary feedback comes from changing your voice. Evox perception reframing is a technique to change these old perceptions that may be causing you to be stuck and damaging your health. We are offering a special Evox perception reframing at a 20% discount for the first 10 callers. Call 800-430-9328. Call now to see if you qualify for this discount, a savings of $200. The discount is limited to only the first 10 callers. There are now methods of analyzing and changing tones in your voice that are linked to disease. Call 800-430-9328. That's 800-430-9328.
We're now offering a 2-day training workshop on how microcurrent can benefit you. This program is for people who want to quickly get started with microcurrent to improve their health and vision, and it is necessary that you attend a 2-day training program. This is to ensure that you are properly trained to use it correctly and will benefit from the microcurrent device. Once you've completed your training, you'll be qualified. To buy your 5-program microcurrent machine, call the office now at 800-430-9328. That number again, 800-430-9328.
Hi friends, Scott Luther, the King of Gold and Silver. Join my protest against Wall Street and these big bankers who want to steal your hard-earned money.
Listen Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 12 to 1 p.m., Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m., and Sunday, 6 to 7 a.m. Ride the Scott Luther Gold and Silver Express to financial freedom by buying silver.
Just buy silver. Turn $5K into $25K, $50K into $250,000.
Call 888-551-2646, 888-551-2646, or go to lrccoins.com.
Would you like to come on my radio show and talk about what you do? I'm Carol Blonder, the host of Networking Arizona. I created a show where you can get yourself heard by thousands of listeners. You also get a podcast of the show so you can put it on your website. Heard Tuesdays and Fridays from 3 to 5 p.m. It's a drive time, prime time show. Call me and book your spot at 602-228-4629. Get the word out about what you do. Visit my website, networkingarizona.net.
Log on and listen live. 1100KFNX.com.
Welcome back to Health and Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot. With me is Dr. Ray Gotlieb. Once again, this month, we're having members of the College of Syntonics, and we're talking about light therapy, phenomenal method of improving not only your general health, but improving your vision. And Dr. Gotlieb, I'm intrigued about the autonomic nervous system, and I wonder if you could explain a little bit about why it's so important and how light can very quickly and simply balance the autonomic nervous system and cause positive changes in your health.
Well, I wish I knew all the answers, but the autonomic nervous system is really what keeps us alive. It's a huge part of our physiology. It works to keep us safe in terms of the external world. That's what's called the sympathetic nervous system. It prepares the energy in order to deal with upcoming and sudden changes in the environment that we have to become safe in. And the other side of it is the parasympathetic, which has to do with emptying the dustbins and making sure there's enough food and so forth. They control blood pressure. They control the size of the blood vessels. They control the energetic aspects of how our cells work and how the mechanisms of our various systems in our body work. So they're very, very important. And Spittler's theory was that red light tends to stimulate the sympathetic side, and blue light tends to stimulate the parasympathetic side. And so that's kind of evolved. They did a lot of empirical research and came up with certain lens prescriptions, not lens, but filter prescriptions, and built a device called the Syntonizer. Syntonics, I may have said before, is a balancing of those two systems, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. And so the device is, it's got a light source, and then in front of the light source is usually two color filters, glass filters, and then in front of that is a lens that what's called collimates the light, and then you sit and look down this tube at this kind of colored dot that's about 2 inches in diameter. And the treatments generally are from 10 to 20 minutes a session. There's a diagnostic protocol that then becomes the baseline of our measurements, and then we give the treatments usually at least 3 times a week, and it can be done in the office, and some people do it actually by loaning out instruments to do it at home, and so it's had effects on a variety of things, but it does seem to improve what's called accommodation in the eye. One of the main things in terms of our measurements is that it increases what's called the visual field, which is how the quality of your peripheral vision. So it's when our system is not behaving in the best way in terms of our energies, then things can go a little bit off in terms of our energy, and certainly that includes the energy of the visual system and the retinal part of it. And so by stimulating with various colors, it actually sometimes very quickly, in a matter of just a few treatments, can actually increase the size of the quality of the visual field. And when that happens, it represents an improvement of the whole energetic systems, possibly a balancing of the sympathetic and parasympathetic. But you can imagine how difficult it is to be at your best when your peripheral vision is not able to tell your consciousness or your other systems, your movement system and your decision-making system. It loses the ability to remember as well of what has just happened in the past and to predict what's coming up in the future. And it's that prediction of what's coming up in the future that allows us to make decisions and take actions to put ourselves in the best possible situation. So to have and it's much more common to have a reduced quality of peripheral vision than it's generally thought. At least 15% of normal children will have some kind of impairment of their peripheral field, and it's a functional field. It's not like part of your brain is dead or part of your visual system is decayed away. It's more of an energetic aspect of it. So it's reversible, and so that's a big part of what it is that we use as a diagnostic and a prognostic indicator, and measurements of before and after and progress reports tell us whether we've picked the correct color. And so it impacts everything from cognitive function, physical abilities. We all of us who do it have kind of miracle changes that happen in our patients. It doesn't work for everybody, but you can tell that pretty quickly by looking at your findings and comparing that with your expectations and what happened as a result of the treatment. So I think it's a very, very powerful tool, and those of us that do it, we just feel that it accelerates all of the other work that we're doing to improve people's functional and healthy visual system. So,
I agree 100%. I think just about everybody I see in my practice has a constriction of their visual field. In addition, they have some severe eye pathology like macular degeneration and glaucoma, and it just amazes me how quickly the light therapy can expand their visual field. And you're right, once the visual field is expanded, then they're more receptive to other treatments. Their mental capacity improves, the body's healing, and I think it's this change in the autonomic nervous system because the body just will not heal or regenerate, and you have this imbalance of the autonomic nervous system. So it's truly, truly phenomenal. Now, you're doing a lot of research, and you're investigating other individuals who are working along this line. I just wonder if you care to talk about that.
Well, one of the most exciting and interesting things that I'm doing right now is I'm kind of immersed in reading about the work of a Nobel Prize winner called Albert Szent-Györgyi, who got a Nobel Prize for his work with vitamin C. And so he had three main areas, and one of them was cell respiration, which vitamin C is part of.
You know what, Dr. Gottlieb, say that. We're coming up to a break, and when you mentioned vitamin C, previously on Healthy Vision, I dedicated the entire show talking about vitamin C, so we're going to have a lot to talk about. And in particular, there's a gentleman by the name of Thomas Levy who feels that cataracts are a focal form of scurvy, a focal form of vitamin C deficiency, which I found to be very interesting. So we're going to be taking a break, and when we come back, I can't wait to hear about your research into this area. And listeners, if you do want to learn more about syntonic light therapy, there's a phenomenal meeting that we have every year. This year, it's going to be located in St. Pete's Beach, Florida. And I know the listeners in Arizona, you may say, "Oh, shucks, I wish you'd have it on the West Coast." Well, we do. We alternate every year. We go back and forth. But it's going to be May 2nd and 3rd and 4th, St. Pete's Beach. To get more information, you can go to the website. It's called the College of Syntonics. And the website is
College of Syntonic Optometry.
and that is a mouthful, but you can just call 719-547-8177. That's 719-547-8177 to get more information. We'll be talking more about that, and we'll be right back with Dr. Ray Gottlieb.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Pamela Furr. A senior White House advisor says the president will say in his Tuesday State of the Union he will continue to act on priorities with or without the approval of Congress.
Saying it may be a new year, but it looks like the same old gridlock in Washington. Senior advisor Dan Pfeiffer saying Republicans in Congress aren't passing President Obama's proposals, and the president won't sign most Republican proposals, so they need to focus more on areas of agreement.
We have to find areas where we can work together. We could start by extending unemployment benefits for 1.6 million Americans, pass a farm bill, pass immigration reform, infrastructure, so an array of things we can do together.
But Pfeiffer also telling Fox News Sunday,
the president will say to the country, he's not going to wait. He has a pen and he has a phone. And he's going to use those to move the ball forward to create opportunity.
I'm Chris Barnes, the Blaze News.
Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz says he knows exactly how the president should begin Tuesday's State of the Union.
One of the things President Obama really ought to do is look in the TV camera and say to the over 5 million Americans all across this country who've had their health insurance canceled because of Obamacare, to look in the camera and say, I'm sorry.
Cruz on CBS's Face the Nation, while Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul is calling former President Bill Clinton a sexual predator.
This isn't having an affair. I mean, this isn't me saying, oh, he's had an affair, we shouldn't talk to him. Someone who takes advantage of a young girl in their office, I mean, really. And then they have the gall to stand up and say Republicans are having a war on women.
Paul responding to a question on Meet the Press about comments his wife made during an interview with Vogue magazine in which she calls the former president's behavior predatory.
One of the workplace laws and rules that I think are good is that bosses shouldn't prey on young interns in their office. And I think really the media seems to have given President Clinton a pass on this. He took advantage of a girl that was 20 years old and an intern in his office.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network. Truth lives here.
Hi, everybody. Jim Howell from the KFNX Weather Center. Well, it looks like we've got just a gorgeous weekend that we're wrapping up for late January, well above normal, mid-70s. And as we move into this upcoming week, no change. As a matter of fact, we're close to 80 by Wednesday. Jim Howell, Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 72 degrees.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Imad Alioubi Jr., NFL free agent, star of the new reality TV show Imad Takes Orlando. Imad is also the owner and CEO of Team Alioubi Talent and Promotions. This is a busy guy. He hosts a radio show right here on KFNX. Oh yeah, and coming soon, look for the launch of the Team Alioubi fashion line. Check it all out on Twitter at Imad Alioubi. That's EMADALAYOUBI.
We're coming to town. Do you need money today? With no credit check and in less than 30 minutes? American First Financial can help you with an auto title or registration loan. Whether your vehicle is paid off with your Arizona title or if you're still making payments, we can approve you today. We stand out from the competition. We're listed with the Better Business Bureau and licensed. We're also family owned and operated locally. We're open 7 days a week. Call us today at 602-862-1000 for a friendly quote on your vehicle. Find us online at aztitleloans.com.
Hi, Rick and Dave here.
The Elton Brothers on KFNX.
Here to save you thousands with our new 4.5% discount listing.
That's right, only 4.5%. The Elton Brothers will list your home. Full service.
Talk about no hassle.
For more info, call 480-451-3318.
Underwater?
Get paid up to $35,000 to complete short sales.
Or download the Elton Brothers app and get listings right to your phone.
That's 480-451-3318.
The Elton Brothers with Realty One Group. Real estate in the palm of your hand.
Lock it in. Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Welcome back to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot. With me is a fascinating optometrist and researcher of light therapy and the dean of the College of Syntonics, Dr. Ray Gottlieb. And we were talking about some interesting information that he came across regarding a Nobel Prize winner, San Giorgi. And Dr. Gotlieb, I wonder if you could share with us, and how does this tie in with vitamin C? I'm just really curious.
Well, nobody knew what this particular substance was, and he identified it as vitamin C, and I don't think it was called that yet, but it was eventually, or soon afterwards. There was no source of it. In fact, the adrenal system is one of the highest levels of vitamin C in the body. So it's all related. And so he was big in vitamin C. He was big in cell respiration, and he also got very interested in cancer based on his theories. And so I had originally run into to his name just by total, who knows what caused it. I'll tell you the story, which when I got into Syntonics, I thought my mission is to find a theoretical base, scientific theoretical model for why this works. And that was in 1974 or something like that. So every year at the meeting, I would try to find some scientific proof of or scientific research that supported the idea of what Syntonics does. And I didn't know how to find it because there was hardly anything that we could find, and we didn't have the internet then. So one day I went to the stacks at Berkeley, the science library at Berkeley, and I closed my eyes and I walked down with my fingers on all the books in the stacks, and I came across one and just pulled it out, probably because it was the smallest book. But I don't know why. I just pulled that book out, opened it up, and there was something that St. Fiore. There was a book Introduction to a Submolecular Biology, and he had another one called bioenergetics or bioenergy. Anyway, he was trying. He said, "Look, we have chemistry and we have biochemistry, and they were very, very important for us. But when it comes down to actually explaining how life works, the more they know, the less they know." And so he says that means that with all the depth of knowledge that we've created in terms of what we know about chemistry and the physiology, the fact that we don't really know what keeps life going means that there's something missing. And so he tried to develop a theory that would explain some of what might be going on that would then give us a better model for how life works and how physiology works. And so essentially, he went down to the electronic level and the interaction between photons, which are the bundles of energy, the small bundles of energy that happen when light is there, and how that's absorbed by the molecules in the body, how it affects things at the molecular and atomic level, which is known. Einstein had a lot to do with that, and the fact that there's a way that light can affect molecules that doesn't change the molecules, but it does something in terms of knocking the electrons for the molecules into a higher level storage of the electrons. So the energy of the light comes in, it puts the potential energy of electrons at a higher state, and then that can then affect changes in other molecules. They can resonate.
So essentially, this is evidence that light therapy profoundly changes the cellular mechanics. So this is the proof that you were looking for.
Well, yes, and so his statement, which I'll quote, is molecules send us messages through photons, be it through photons they absorb, be it through photons they emit. So he's thinking that the basic communication is through photons. And one of the places that it has a great effect is in the creation of energy from oxygen and sugars, glucose. So there are places in the what's called the respiration cycle that in little kind of organisms that live in us, kind of like bacteria that live in all cells. Without them, we wouldn't be alive. They are the most important cells in our body, or entities in our body, and all cells have them. And within that, there's a process that energy is created. It's kind of like winding a watch. That's all of a sudden certain light and light affects that. And so these little cells are called mitochondria. And a lot of the diseases that we're having, this is a big research project area right now, is the effects of mitochondria, these little cells that have this special ability to create what's called ATP, which is kind of the gasoline that drives the energy in our body.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment that, I go to a lot of integrative meetings and alternative meetings, medical doctors, and you're right. The hottest topic is the mitochondria, that so many diseases are due to mitochondrial dysfunction. So I agree with you. It seems to be the emphasis.
Yeah, everything from macular degeneration is now thought about in those terms. Glaucoma has got a lot of aspects of it. So, what's interesting, so when I first got involved in looking for a scientific basis, I didn't find much. I just would run into something like St. Georgi just by this happenstance of pulling the book off of the shelf. And then at some point I found work that the Russians and the Eastern Europeans got interested in the effects of lasers. Can lasers be used as a healing tool? And so that created a research in, especially in Russia, but in other places, that tried to look at various healing effects of lasers. And there's one particular researcher in Russia. Her name is Tina Karu. She's kind of the grandmother of modern research about light and color. She found that it affected the mitochondria, that indeed it changed the cell, that red light accelerated the production of ATP, but only in cells that were in ill health. So light would come in and be delivered inside the body in various forms, communicated through the body, and only the cells that were subpar in their performance would be affected by it. Normal cells it didn't have any effect on because they weren't sensitive to it. So she was the one, and she really got people involved in the light world. And so at that time it was, oh my gosh, this is great, somebody's doing research on it and so forth. And nowadays it's a really accelerating field, this whole effect of light and color as a therapy and as a process of what goes on in physiology. There's new journals all the time seem to be created along those new organizations, and research that goes everywhere from specialized journals to main journals, Nature magazine, and Science magazine, and all the major magazines have had articles related to that. So,
well, we're coming up to another break, and that is really, really interesting. And before we break, I know that both of us have heard Tina Karu lecture, the Russian, who's done so much research and looking at the effects of light on the cellular level. And I don't know if you can answer the question in a minute, but is her research similar to St. Georgi, or St. Georgi has a different theory or philosophy?
Well, St. Georgi's looking at the mechanisms behind it, and it's so far-reaching. It's difficult to describe, partly because it's difficult stuff, but also for me to describe it is because I just go over and over some of the chapters and some of the books and a lot of the articles.
When we come back, I'm going to put you on a spot to try to explain it in simple lay terms, because this research is phenomenal, and it's giving scientific evidence that the symptomatic light therapy that many eye doctors were doing for the last 75 years, is something that is effective. It's not fringe medicine. It has been demonstrated to be extremely effective. So those of you that might be interested in learning more, Dr. Gotlieb is one of the featured speakers at the College of Syntonics meeting the first weekend in May. And if you'd like more information on that, you can go to the Syntonic website, College of Syntonic Optometry. And we'll be right back. More of Dr. Gotlieb right after this commercial break.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Can changing your voice change your health and vision? Homeopathic doctors have observed an emotional component that is the cause or contributing factor to disease. This emotion is linked to your voice. There are now methods of analyzing and changing tones in your voice that are linked to disease. As you speak, your voice carries the energy and your perception of the world. Voice reframing is a technique that facilitates a different view of your perception and can help improve your health. The primary feedback comes from changing your voice. Evox perception reframing is a technique to change these old perceptions that may be causing you to be stuck and damaging your health. We are offering a special Evox perception reframing at a 20% discount for the first 10 callers. Call 800-430-9328. Call now to see if you qualify for this discount, a savings of $200. The discount is limited to only the first 10 callers. There are now methods of analyzing and changing tones in your voice that are linked to disease. Call 800-430-9328. That's 800-430-9328.
We're now offering a 2-day training workshop on how microcurrent can benefit you. This program is for people who want to quickly get started with microcurrent to improve their health and vision, and it is necessary that you attend a 2-day training program. This is to ensure that you are properly trained to use it correctly and will benefit from the microcurrent device. Once you've completed your training, you'll be qualified. To buy your 5-program microcurrent machine, call the office now at 800-430-9328. That number again, 800-430-9328.
Dr. Kondrot has been selected to be the clinic director of the American Medical College of Homeopathy in Phoenix, Arizona. The clinic will offer world-class homeopathic and alternative services at greatly reduced rates. This clinic was established to make homeopathic and alternative care more affordable to the thousands of patients looking for alternative treatments. The clinic will be manned by members of the Arizona Homeopathic and Integrative Medical Association. Dr. Kondrot states, this is a great opportunity for doctors to give back to the community and help many people who can't afford these services. Dr. Kondrot will start the clinic services on January 8th, 2014 by offering homeopathic and alternative evaluations and treatments for those individuals with eye problems. For more information or to schedule an appointment, please call the clinic at 602-864-0512. Once again, for more information or to schedule an appointment, call 602-864-0512. That number again is 602-864-0512.
Call Dr. Kondrot for a personal consultation. Dr. Kondrot is a leading alternative eye doctor, author of 3 best-selling books, and host of Healthy Vision Talk Radio. Call for your personal consultation with Dr. Kondrot to learn what alternative therapies can help you. Take this important step today to improve your vision. Call 1-800-430-9328. That number again, 1-800-430-9328. Scientology. You've heard of it. Ever wonder what it is? It's the study of knowledge. It's knowing yourself, your family, your friends, the world, and the universe. It's the study of truth, drawing upon 50,000 years of wisdom, mathematics, and nuclear physics. It's practical solutions to real-life problems. Scientology, Saturdays at 7:30 a.m. right here on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
Hi, this is Ken from the right side of the trade. Let's have an adult conversation. Most people still have not achieved their financial goals. Have you? Learn how to get what you really want at one of Online Trading Academy's market timing workshops. We can teach you a proven method for trading any market like a pro. Call 480-634-2301. Mention the right side of the trade and get 2 free tickets to an upcoming market timing workshop. Call 480-634-2301 now.
Visit us online at 1100kfnx.com.
Welcome back to Healthy Vision, and we're with Dr. Ray Gotlieb. And we're having just a fascinating conversation on some research that he's uncovered supporting the theories of light therapy and its interesting effect on a cellular level. And you wanted to make a few more comments before we switch topics?
One is he shows a great parallel between how light affects plants to produce certain kinds of foodstuffs that then we eat that contain energy that we eat, that we ingest or another animal ingests, and from that we get all of our food. So that light energy is really the basis of all of our nutrition, and so that's an important that the reverse process of photosynthesis, which is how light affects chlorophyll, which then affects a change in energetic aspects of plants and allows it to grow and thrive and so forth. And then when we eat that, then the reverse process goes along. Light comes along and
you mentioned earlier about vitamin C. How does all this tie in to vitamin C?
Because it's a central part of respiration. And and it's I haven't quite really made that connection yet. He got his Nobel Prize for that, and so that's how vitamin C comes up. And then there's other people that are involved in
There's one thing interesting. The human is the only mammal that is not able to synthesize vitamin C. They need it from
I think that's also true for guinea pigs.
Okay, because I know goats. A goat, and we have a lot of them on our ranch, they can synthesize up to 100 grams of vitamin C a day, 100 grams when they're in a stressful situation, which I just couldn't believe that, could not believe. So did you uncover any information about the connection between light and vitamin C?
Not precisely. I'm just scratching the surface of that connection. He's got a little part of one chapter that talks about that, and I haven't quite read that. I just read it through, but not enough to get it. One of the things that impressed me is that we see what we see in terms of the time frame and the size, but when you see that light effects on biology take place at 10 to the minus 15 seconds. In other words, it's 0, 0, 0. It takes place in like 15 zeros, and then it's in that time period. So things happen so quick.
Very fast. Very
quickly. The other thing is that there's billions of cells, trillions of cells in our body. We don't think of it that way, but there are trillions of cells, and the amount of a medicine that we take or a hormone that we take is minuscule. It's such a small percentage in terms of its size and in terms of its amount and quantity, and in terms of the percentage of what goes on in the blood, for example, when we ingest or get a shot with some medication in it. It's minuscule. And it's one of the things that drove Zenkiorgi in terms of his ideas, because he's saying, it's not like every cell gets affected with that hormone. And he talks about the hormones in terms of how they oscillate and fit in with these changes that are energetic in terms of the electrons and how they become catalysts because they allow the transfer of electrons in a certain kind of way, and the fact that one change in one part of say the inside of a cell will actually, because it's energetic, will actually change the whole structure of a certain aspect of the cell. So it's not quantity; it's the quality of the vibration. It's the quality of the energy.
What I'm hearing is then, the light therapy that we're doing can have tremendous implications in the function of the body.
Well, one of the interesting things about light effects is and in medicine too, is that when you're trying to change one thing, like with color, you'll get these great effects in some other aspect of the patient's life. Just like you have a drug like thalidomide that was used for one purpose and then banned because it caused pregnant ladies, the babies of mothers of pregnant women, to be born with limbs that are not fully developed. But nowadays they're using it for a totally different purpose, and you find that there's these applications of these drugs that have these profoundly different effects on different systems in the body, and he talks, the things that he's talking about give some kind of organization and support for the fact that that's a real thing. It's very exciting when but again, it's he wrote these things in the 50s and 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and a lot of things are going now that are supporting his ideas. So one of the things that's a big topic also, that's a big change in the way people are looking at it, is water. That water, when it freezes, becomes ice, and then if you drop the temperature even more, it becomes like a snowflake. It has structure to it. It becomes a macromolecule, which is an energetic thing. And if you drop the temperature down to by another couple of 100 degrees, then the structure of that changes, of the snowflake would change. And so he's saying that you have structured water, and that the basis of life is related to two factors, and one of them is photons, light, and how it's affecting the electrons, and how that is affected within structures of water. So that when this energetic aspect, which is got very unique qualities depending upon the protein or the hormone and so forth related to the photon electron, passing that on as a communication through the cell wall into these structures of water. He said that we think of solid and fluid water, but it's really structured and bulk water and structured water. Dr.
Gottlieb, we have before we come to the end of the show, I really want to bring you back down to earth.
Okay.
I want you to talk about your amazing product that I recommend to so many patients. It's called Read Without Glasses Method. And it's a way, I know there's a lot of listeners out there, you want to get rid of those reading glasses. This is called Read Without Glasses. So Dr. Gottlieb, in 1 minute.
Well, it's an exercise that I discovered, kind of invented for a patient in the mid-1970s. And the results of him doing an exercise that I thought, I wonder if this would work, it was just amazing. In 2 weeks, he went from having to wear distance glasses because he was farsighted, and bifocals because he was presbyopic, which is what bifocals in general are prescribed for. He went in, I think it was like 12 days, he said, I don't have to wear glasses anymore. I see perfectly fine at distance, and I see really well at here. And I was just amazed, and so I was so reluctant to talk about it because it's such a well-known fact that you can't do anything about presbyopia. But eventually I did begin to talk about it in medical meetings, and it eventually became a product. It's something that we found really well, and others don't.
Coming to a close on Healthy Vision, and Dr. Gottlieb, thank you so much for joining us. Folks, you can get Read Without Glasses. You can go to Amazon.com. And next week, we're going to devote the show to celebrate Marty Sussman, who just recently passed away. He's the president of the Cambridge Institute for Better Vision. The show's going to be in celebration of his life. We're going to have a lot of interesting callers. So I look forward to you joining next week. This is your host wishing you good health and clear vision.
The
intelligent design movement has become quite popular as more and more people seek an alternative to evolution. Although this group is against naturalistic evolution, do they stand for biblical creationism? Find out this week on Science, Scripture, and Salvation, a Creation Radio Journal.
The Institute for Creation Research Program. Every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. right here on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
Attention women business owners looking for strategies to grow your business and build professional relationships with other successful women? Then we invite you to join the Phoenix chapter of the National Association of Women Business Owners. NABO is one of the 5 most influential organizations in the Valley, according to the Business Journal. We offer many networking opportunities, business education seminars, and a nationally recognized mentoring program. For more info, go to nawbophx.org or call 602-772-4985. That's 602-772-4985.
You're listening to